In this lesson, we're going to take a look at some of the features of the control panel, or the Cpanel. This is the software interface that you will use to configure things like your database or new email accounts as you work with your new website. Now, to get to your control panel, there's several ways. If you have signed up with InMotion Hosting, one of the most convenient ways is perhaps log into your account management panel and just click on the little icon here for Cpanel. And this brings in our login panel. And so if you have your password written down, you might want to pull that out and type that in. And hit submit. And your Cpanel will look something like this. Now, if you'd like to have a different skin, if you'd like to have perhaps a little bit more modern look to your Cpanel, you can switch the theme of your Cpanel. Doesn't really change what you can do with the control panel, but at least it looks a little bit more up to date, more modern graphics, more modern icons. I kind of like it better anyway. And over here in our left-hand panel, we have some information about our website, how much disk space we are using at the moment, how much bandwidth we've used this month. With this particular account that we have set up with InMotion Hosting, we're supposed to get unlimited, so that's not a big concern. Let's click open the expand stats to see more information. We can quickly get a bird's eye view of where we're at. But as you begin to work with your website, some of this information will be handy to take a look at. Now, we won't take the time to go through each and every feature of our control panel. There really are a lot of utilities that you can use and set up here. But for the purposes of our tutorial series, our lessons, we are going to be primarily looking at three main things, and that is working with File Manager, working with our databases, and our email accounts. But for this lesson, we're going to just quickly take a look at File Manager. The first time that you open this up, what I would recommend you do is click on Show Hidden Files, and then hit Go. And what you're looking at here is actually the directory of your account on a computer somewhere in the US, I believe, being run by InMotion Hosting. When you set up your host account, you've actually defined a certain area on one of the hard drives in a server held by InMotion Hosting, and when you click through to File Manager on your Cpanel, you are actually taking a look at the directory where you can store your files. Let's click on Public HTML. We'll notice that there's not very many files there at the moment, but that will soon change. Now, to get back to your Cpanel from File Manager, you'll notice that you can't just hit the back button here. It's actually opened up its own window. So in order to go back to the Cpanel, you can either close out File Manager or just simply click on your Cpanel tab. Now, the next thing is databases. And actually, our next tutorial is dedicated to creating a database, so perhaps we'll leave that to our next tutorial. But let's maybe take a look at setting up an email account. There's no limit as to how many email accounts that you can set up on your new website. It's good to maybe set up at least 2 or 3 to get started, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. We'll make one that says Frank at vividmediaproductions.com, and then I'll assign myself a password. It'll ask you to confirm that. And we have just created our first email account. And perhaps another good one would be info at. And all you have to do is type in the first part. The rest comes by default. And another password, and hit create account. So you can see how easy it is to create email accounts. And at any time you can go in and change that password that you just set. You can change the quota. I believe that we just left it at a default of 250 megabytes. So that email box could fill up potentially. I would probably take the main account that is going to be used and maybe change the quota to maybe unlimited. All right, and over here in the More button, you can access these email accounts using a webmail server. And Cpanel, or perhaps InMotion, actually gives you several options as to what type of web-based email reader you can use. Roundcube or Horde is probably more modern than Squirrel Mail. So all you need to do is just click on that and you're in. And you can start reading your email right there inside your Cpanel. But in addition to reading your mail this way, you can also configure any of your email accounts to work together with some of your other email readers like Thunderbird or Outlook. And for more information on how you can set up your email accounts to work with some of the more common email readers, just click on the More button again, and here under Configure Email Client, you can get some text tutorials on how to set things up with Outlook or Windows Live Mail, Thunderbird, and some of the more popular ways to read your email. All right, so those are some of the most common features of the control panel that you will probably want to start using right away. But as need be, we will come back to control panel and work with some of these other options. Now, just before we finish up this tutorial, I would like to show you another way that you can log onto your Cpanel that might be just a little bit more convenient. Let's close out of here and just open up a browser again. And what you can do is, rather than going through your client control panel at InMotion Hosting, you can go directly to your Cpanel by simply typing in your website address. In my case, it's vividmediaproductions.com, and then /Cpanel. Hit return, and that will bring in the login information where you'll need to type in the username, and you should have that written down. Mine is vividm7, and my password is, and if you remember your password, it should be a lot easier to log in the next time you go. Let's just try that. Let's clog out here and open up a browser again, and this time start typing in your website address. And you'll notice that your browser, at least this browser that I'm working with, which is Firefox, once you start typing in your address, you'll get a list of those URLs that you have used most recently. Just find the one that has the /Cpanel already queued up there. Just click on that, and we'll notice that it has remembered our username and password this time, and we can just hit the login. And we're into our Cpanel that quickly. Okay, so that will help you get into your Cpanel a lot faster from this point on. All right, well, I believe that that does it for our orientation into our Cpanel. And in our next tutorial, we will create a database.